Hello everyone, and it's time for me to turn my attention towards some of AIU's cronies, his bitches, and downright awful cohorts who have been leading the charge in defence of this horrible cunt. So, who am I turning to first, and why am I turning to them specifically? Now, they won't be the only one, they will be one of many who I will be roasting in these videos. Roasting, Mitch? Why are you using such silly ponish terms? How dare you? Aren't you taking this seriously? Well, I'll have you know that yes, I am taking this very seriously, but I'm still roasting them because I just got roasted myself like a couple of days ago, so I think it's only fair to dish it out if they're going to dish it to me first. Plus, I have the usual facts and logic and argumentation that is required to make this something more than just good old-fashioned roasting. So, who was this flying monkey that I was talking about before? This person's called Laika. Now her YouTube channel is called Laika Sober. And Laika is one of the main female flying monkeys that I've seen around the Twitterverse usually, but also on YouTube. She's on the Flying Monkey podcast a lot. And she's one of the main cohorts, some of the main big flying monkeys, although she's not a big YouTube presence, but she's a popular member, so to speak. And her arguments are just completely and utterly stupid, just utterly retarded. You can't get worse than this. And not only that, with the DMs that Cognitive Thought has given me and given me full permission to use, you will find that not only is she wrong on certain topics, but also she's a little bit hypocritical and also, dare I say, quite a nasty person. So let's get into the tweets, shall we, and show that how bad she actually is, and basically why I'm roasting her in this video. One day I'll get to you and teach you how to get to purest. Now, these tweets show her basically mouthing off the usual flying monkeys arguments that you will see circulating the internet. I've already refuted them, but I am going to recite these to you and refute them regardless because it's funny, and hey, we need more videos like this to push them back. Now, these series of tweets are all about doxing and how subjective they are, etc, etc. It's the usual retard type stuff, so let's just get stuck into it. It's such a shame that your subjective morality isn't objective law. No law, no court, no system, nothing calls that private information, or you wouldn't be asked to supply it to do everything. A name is not sensitive information. Get real. Now, there's some things wrong with this. For example, subjective morality isn't objective law, we know this, but I don't think this rational utopia is trying to put his morality into the law. Or she, you don't know. I think this person is clearly stating that a name and your address, etc, etc, can be private. But apparently that doesn't count, and also he may be discussing that doxing is wrong and immoral, yet she's saying that's objective because she thinks doxing is subjective, at least in these tweets, of course, people. No law, no court, no system, nothing calls it private information. Then how come a lot of companies will say, in fact pretty much all of them will say that they will not divulge this unless you have given your permission to those companies? How come that governments will allow people to take their name off the electoral register and put them on a more secure, more anonymous electoral register? Because the electoral register is open, don't forget, if people don't want to be on that open register. And what about the phone book? You could totally remove your number because consent is usually assumed, but you can call up people or email people and say, I would like my details off the yellow pages of the phone books, thank you very much. And that is totally fine, you can do that. So yeah, the law, the courts, the system, they do say that your names, your addresses, etc, etc, can be private if you want it to be. So Laika, stop chatting shit for once in your life and actually, you know, be honest with us for once. A name is not sensitive information, she also says. Well, yes, it can be, especially if you yourself do not want people to know your name because of, I don't know, it can lead to many different things about you. All it takes is a Google search, that's what you lot say. And then she says something about either AIU or I don't know, it could be the Amazing Atheist. He nailed it. Doxing is subjective act, a subjective act. Even those most against it will dox given certain circumstances. Who will dox in certain circumstances exactly? I myself would not dox because I don't want to do it. But even then, is it subjective? Maybe, but it depends. It depends. For example, does this person want their details out there, like I said before? Do they want to be anonymous for a reason? Then it is immoral because you're doxing someone who doesn't want their names and addresses, etc. out there against their will. And then, of course, there's the issue of, well, what made you dox them in the first place? Did they just say something that you don't like? Did they insult you? Did they criticize you? That's still immoral because they don't deserve to have their name put out there and their addresses put out there, or at least the potential for their addresses to put out there if you name them, or maybe their location, which is, you know, your city is still part of your address, by the way, people. That is wrong as well. But what if it's a person who is a paedophile or someone who is some kind of criminal? Well, maybe. Again, it depends. Have these people already paid for their crimes and not done anything? Or are these people doing the crimes as we speak? Again, you know, it is open to interpretation in that aspect. She is correct. But it's not subjective in this argument that we're currently having. Devon is doxing people because he doesn't like them, because they criticise him. Apparently it's slander, even though it's his own arguments they're quoting. So how can it be slander? They're quoting him. This is the issue. This is not a subjective matter. This is an objective matter here. He is using doxing in the way that it's immoral, Laika. You can't use subjectivity in this argument. And then she says, I got that threat in May. She's referencing a threat that I think she might be referencing in DMs later. I'm sure the police are going to bust down his door any day now. Hidden does not equal private. A name is not private information by any definition, prick. Now, she's already mentioned that before, and I've already mentioned that in response that it can be private information. Hidden does not equal private. Yes, it does if the person doesn't want people to know about it. Therefore, it is private. Private is something hidden away from other people that you don't want them to see. It could be relatively benign or it could be sinister. It's still private. Now, I don't know what the top tweet is referring to. You know, someone threatened her. She obviously didn't call the police. Most threats are usually just that, threats, they're bluffs. I don't really have anything to say about that so far, so let's move on, people. Apparently it's worse to call someone by their name than to call someone a racist. Welcome to Generation Pussy. No, Laika, we're not saying that. That's a straw man. You know damn well we're not saying that. What we're saying is you shouldn't be releasing people's names in order to silence them or with the intent to dox. Remember, it's all about intentions. This is what we're trying to tell you. Doxing is illegal, especially when in regards to intent. You don't know what intent means in law, do you? Because you clearly seem to think you know all about it when clearly you don't. If there's bad intent, you can be arrested for a hell of a lot of things. Now, it obviously is bad to call someone a racist if they're not a racist, but it's not bad if they are a racist. And will they lose jobs, etc.? I don't know. It depends on the job and on the company and on the boss that they're under. You can't really give us this shit, Laika. You can't. Just stop. And then they're talking about someone's name, probably Uzalu or somebody else that Flying Monkeys and AIU have released, you know, their names. And she says, for everyone? Really? Only 4 people that saw it? Fair. And just to label those with their name out as racist. Problem A is bad, but let's talk about the lesser problem of problem B. FML. No, incompetent thought, I'm not. I'm telling you, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And Cognitive is saying, wait, so now you're telling me it would have been better if you kept your anonymity. So basically she's saying, because of that threat and because of, say, maybe other things, that she should have kept her anonymity, but now she's saying that she didn't when she clearly did. And so what if only 4 people saw a certain name? Fact of the matter is, any one of those 4 people could dox. You don't know, it's the internet, love, okay? You cannot trust anybody unless you know them pretty well. And again, there is no fallacy here, Laika, so let's move on, people. Now, with all these tweets, you would be thinking, well, she's just a basic, typical flying monkey, Mitch. Why are you doing this? Like, why are you roasting her in particular? Well, again, she's one of the big ones leading the charge for Devon. She has consistently been spouting drivel on Twitter and on YouTube. And then she also gives us this gem of a tweet that everyone ought to know about to show just exactly who we are dealing with here. And remember, she's a flying monkey, so chances are, like Devon, she's a piece of shit. And this is in response to somebody who asks her the question, was it you or Ghost? Ghost is a younger female flying monkey. She's also a little bit crazy, but I don't know enough about her, that beat up an autistic kid. That's what the man's trying to say here, or girl. And she says, and he wasn't a kid or autistic, he was a Down syndrome adult, so much better, in parentheses. And then the man says, or the girl says, haha, they can sometimes be fairly cognitive, not genius, but not totally dependent. But this is the type of person we're dealing with, people. She is totally fine with punching someone who is an adult but also has special needs. What kind of person is like this? How can someone punch someone like that and not feel any regret, any remorse for the person that they punched? She doesn't even say why she punched him, what caused the whole issue to begin with. Just that, oh yeah, I punched it and it was so much better, it felt better because he was an adult, even though he had Down syndrome. And some of these people who, yeah, can be fairly cognitive, we know this. There is, of course, varying degrees of how bad it is. But at the same time, she's still punching someone, assaulting someone who is ill, technically. He is, of course, mentally and physically ill in a certain way, if you know what I mean, people. That's wrong. You can't do that. And again, what if you call the names or something? Or even if you did, you don't go around punching people. You have to be the adult and ignore it. Otherwise you get done for assault. It doesn't matter who started it. And then it continues. Rue, after getting one punch from Laika Sobers, this is by Ghost, the Down syndrome down puncher. You see them taking the piss. They revel in this and the fact they're horrible people. These are the types of people that we're dealing with. This is why they can call doxing subjective and it's okay to dox certain people, and why personal names are not private. Because they're horrible people. They're not even making excuses for it, and if they are, they're not very strong excuses. They're almost half-hearted. And then of course Laika says, seems legit, I have no qualms with this statement. So she's clearly not arsed. But some of you may be saying in a very nice way, but surely people can change. Maybe after this drama, we can somehow change these people for the better and they will see the error of their ways. Well, to quote a famous sellsword,
there's no cure for being a cunt.
You do it to yourself, you do, and that's why it hurts.
And now we move on to her hypocritical and incriminating DMs, people. Yeah, I know, the light's on, it's dark. It took me ages to edit the last bit, people, I know. But hey, at least I put work into my arguments. Now these are the DMs I talked about, which clearly show her to be a hypocrite and really just makes you wonder, why the hell is she defending Rue when she knows full well that anonymity is important and can actually sometimes protect her against shit like this. So here we go. Hey, I'm not after mob justice on whomever this guy you're protecting is, but this has gone beyond doxing and the authorities are involved now. I've had CID at my house standing outside my door because I'm getting death threats and my info leaked to jihadists. Now she's talking about the death threats earlier in the video, but she seems to think that because Cognitive Thought mirrored a video by a guy that they think did like some hacking of Devon and maybe her as well, I don't know what happened. All we know is that he actually didn't do anything, he just made a video on it. This has gotten really bad and somehow Cognitive is responsible even though he isn't. If this guy just made the video and nothing more, which he did, I'm not interested, but I need to get every bit of information if it's remotely possible that this person could have hacked Devon's account. So obviously doxing is really bad as long as it's happening to Devon, but if it's happening to the rest of us, oh no, it's subjective, people. As I've said to Anthony, Cognitive says, I only know who made the video I mirrored, not the video that is on his Twitter profile. The video I mirrored also doesn't show personal information. Oh, they definitely didn't. I know them well. They just wanted me to post the video because some feared doxing. So are we cool? They feared doxing, but that video contained an image of Devon's house and would have obviously caused people to go and check Devon's account where an address for that house was up there plain as day. I don't think it was malicious, however it was stupid. Devon has never released information on that scale before. This is not too quo. Well, you see, he has. He's told people where their locations are and what their names are, and that's a hell of a lot of information to use if you want to dox somebody. If you think it's easy to get somebody's address and all sorts of different details with their name alone, imagine if you have their name and also their city, which by the way is a part of their postcode or zip code, whatever you want to call it. That's quite a lot of information in regards to doxing people. Again, people, notice that she's only against it when it's Devon and herself. But when we get doxed, or people we know get doxed, who cares? Subjective. It's not doxing. It's just names. It's not private, but it's private when it's Devon and us. It's totally private because we're in danger. You know, Kraut may be in danger of jihadists and crazy people in Germany, but hey, she is too, and her life is far more important, not equally as important. Then Cog says, never said I agreed to the Doxor hack, just that this was obviously going to happen. I showed his Twitter, which is now public. I didn't even put a link to it in the description. This beyond Devon. I've never been involved in a Doxor hack, and it's boiling over into me. Over onto you. Why? Guilt by association with Devon. Yeah? Well, that's so funny, because look what's happened to us. We've had people having their names out because they're in association with other people that Devon doesn't like. But hey, it's wrong when it happens to them people, but okay when it happens to us. You know, people, there's like a name for this type of person in regards to shit like this, and I think I know the perfect person to tell me.
Remember that name you all had for me when I was at Internal Affairs? What was it, Gordon?
Harvey.
Say it.
Say it! Two-Face. Harvey Two-Face.